the 90/10 rule that top performers use daily. You know how there's always that one thing that comes to mind when we think of Rome, the Colosseum. But what about the other 99% of Rome? No one really talks about it. In fact, you could spend years studying the other 99% of Rome and not even realize that it was the Colosseum that people were referring to when they said Rome. This is a perfect example of the 90/10 rule. The 90/10 rule states that 90% of your success is coming from 10% of your habits. And those 10% of habits are often the ones that you do and want to do, or they read the hardest ones to do. And if you do them over and over again, eventually you'll get to a point where everyone starts to notice you. When I first read this book, I thought it was BS. Because I'm like, come on, dude, why would 90% of my success come from only 10% of my habits? I wish it was that simple. And then I read more books, I did more research, and I realized it's true. And I started applying this in my own life with great results. For example, when I first started working out, I remember thinking, man, if I just lift heavy weights, I'm going to look good. But I wasn't consistent. So I ended up going to the gym for 3 weeks straight and then taking a whole month off. Then I go back again for 3 weeks and then I take another month off. I had no idea that 90% of my results from working out was going to come from only 10% of my habits. Those 10% being actually consistent and showing up. If I would have just done that 10% consistently, I would have got the 90% result of looking better, having more energy, getting in shape, whatever it is. So, what are some examples of the 90/10 rule that you can start using in your own life today? No. One, sales. Let's say you're a salesperson and you make 10 phone calls, but five of those phone calls make up for 90% of your sales. Those five phone calls might be the hardest ones, but if you make them consistently over and over again, eventually you'll get so good at it that everyone around you will start to notice. No, two, business. Let's say you're a business owner and you post 10 pieces of content, but two of those pieces of content make up for 90% of your leads. Those two pieces of content might be the hardest ones to make, but if you make them consistently over and over again, eventually you'll get so good at it that everyone around you will start to notice. No. Three, relationships. Let's say you hang out with 10 different groups of friends, but one of those groups of friends make up for 90% of your happiness. Those one group of friends might be the ones that are the hardest to get along with. But if you hang out with them consistently over and over again, eventually you'll get so good at maintaining that relationship that everyone around you will start to notice. So here's what I want you to do. Think about your own life and think about the 90/10 rule. What are the 10% of the things that you read doing that's bringing you 90% of the results? Maybe it's in your marriage. Maybe it's in your business. Maybe it's with your family. Maybe it's with your kids, whatever it is. You need to identify those 10% actions and start doing them consistently over and over again. So you can get to a point where everyone else starts to notice. What are some other examples of the 90/10 rule? Well, I got 99 more problems, but I'm sure y'all can figure it out. So let me know in the comments below what you think. And until next time, see you later.